Remember when you were a kid and hanging out with your friends just kind of happened? You used to bump into each other in the park, ride bikes together, or just simply knock on each other's doors. Socializing was effortless and spontaneous. But as adults, things have changed. Today, with competing schedules, it makes it hard to find time to connect. Everybody's busy with work, family, or endless to-do lists. Finding a time that works the best for both of you feels like a Herculean task. Stress, anxiety, and depression can make it difficult to reach out to one another when you need it the most. Sometimes the thought of planning a hangout just seems way too overwhelming. And on top of that, we've got social media and messaging apps that makes it feel like we're hanging out, but in reality, we're missing out on genuine face-to-face interactions. The like, comments, and emojis are no substitute for real, meaningful conversations. And the sheer size of our cities can be isolating. Urban sprawl and car-dependent infrastructure means that we live far away from family most of the time, making spontaneous get-togethers a rarity. Within the midst of a loneliness pandemic, how are we supposed to connect with each other? Where are we supposed to connect with each other? What is happening here? We've had a wild ride, 6 episodes. This is the last one, so buckle in tight, and we're gonna just go for it. I don't know, I'm just talking right now. Hi, my name is Tosa, you know me already. Let's just hop into the video. Today we're talking about the antidote to the loneliness pandemic, community, and the spaces and places that contribute to it. I think that oftentimes we underestimate how our built environment influences how we connect with each other. Urban design subtly directs our paths, creating spaces where we naturally gather, converse, and connect. But right now, our poorly designed cities in North America are not only squandering this potential, but are actively making it worse. This has a tremendously negative effect on our health and well-being. Susan Pinker, a psychologist and author of The Village Effect, How Face-to-Face Contact Can Make Us Healthier and Happier, emphasizes the importance of social integration for our overall well-being. Her research highlights that a lack of social integration, including loose societal bonds with acquaintances and strangers, can have severely negative consequences. I know that you like to understand that being alone isn't really good for your mental or physical health, but I still would recommend you probably want a friend nearby, because she goes into detail, and boy, being lonely is not good for you at all. It is rough. Her research highlights that a lack of social integration, including loose societal bonds with acquaintances and strangers, can have severe consequences. Socially isolated individuals face a higher risk of premature death comparable to the risk associated with smoking and obesity. Mental health issues such as depression and anxiety are more prevalent among those who lack regular social interactions. The absence of social connections weakens the immune system, making individuals more susceptible to infections and diseases. Furthermore, social isolation is linked to a higher rate of cognitive decline, increasing your risk for dementia, as engaging in regular social activities is crucial for maintaining brain health. Hold on, I'm not even done yet. Additionally, people who are socially isolated are more likely to suffer from chronic health conditions like heart disease, and high blood pressure, and diabetes. The stress and emotional distress caused by isolation can exacerbate these health problems. Overall, a lack of social connection leads to a lower quality of life, as people miss out on the happiness, satisfaction, and sense of purpose that can come with being part of a community, including the casual interactions that occur in public spaces. By highlighting these findings, it becomes clear that our current urban design is not just failing to promote social interaction, but is actively harming our health. Therefore, there is a need for urban planning to prioritize social connectivity to foster healthier and happier communities. Yeah, you get it, it sucks to be alone. But where exactly are we supposed to find these bonds within a built environment that feels like it's pulling us apart? There's just a few places that you kick back and just chill out. A place that's not home, that's not work, the third place. Third places are the lifeblood of vibrant communities, serving as an essential social environment where people can gather, interact, and build relationships outside of their homes or work. These informal public places such as cafes, parks, and libraries, as well as community centers, foster a sense of belonging and promote spontaneous social interaction and provide the exact type of social integration that we need. Unlike structured settings of home or work, third places are a neutral ground that encourages inclusivity and equality, where conversations flow freely and social hierarchies fade into the background. They provide the much needed home away from home feel, where regulars and newcomers alike can connect, share ideas, and engage in community life. There are now just few institutions that can fulfill this need. Part of the appeal of third places is the ease in which it fits into our daily lives. Our third place could be like a bar on your way home from work or a farmer's market just around the corner. Proximity is crucial. If you have to make a long journey in traffic to reach these places, the likelihood of you actually going is not very high. Not all third places need to be community hubs, but their presence in the neighborhood often facilitates community building. When third places are located outside the neighborhood, they struggle to fulfill their role as community hubs because they are too far removed from the daily lives of their residents. Unfortunately, previous zoning laws and car-centric designs have pushed these essential spaces out of our neighborhoods. It's human nature to yearn for community and connection, and third places used to facilitate that need effectively. I don't need to convince you that social media is not an adequate replacement for in-person interaction, but I think that using consumerism to fill the void that third places left behind may not make sense initially. The lifestyle that comes with suburbia demands significant time for commuting. Long drives to and from work drain the time and energy that could be used spent connecting with others. After a long day, many find themselves too exhausted to seek out social interactions, since the interaction has to be constructed from the ground up, unlike social interactions a third place can facilitate. Rather than bumping into a friend at a coffee shop, you have to find the time within your busy schedule to meet, and after a long day, you might just not have the energy to drive to a predetermined location. The extra effort and planning often results in fewer spontaneous social encounters and can make maintaining friendships that much more challenging. Because there's no third place, there's no place in which they can relax and unwind. Suburban residents often turn inwards, focusing on their private spaces. I want to make this clear, it's not just suburban residents that don't have third places, but just the lack of third places is just more pronounced in suburbia. But what I'm saying pretty much applies to everybody. I think this is pretty much in most cities, they're lacking third places. Just like the mall was a facade of walkability, it's also the facade of a third place. These centers provide a venue for social interaction, but within a consumerist framework. The result? Shopping becomes not a necessity, but a primary social activity, a way to fill the void left by a lack of third places. This consumerism kind of also feeds into the lack of amenities within suburbia. So you have lack of amenities and no social interaction. So consumerism just ends up filling that vacuum that's left there. So oftentimes, rather than going out and commiserating with people, people turn more inwards and build their own amenities that they within their own homes. Rather than going to the bar, they might just build one in their basement. Instead of visiting a public pool, they use the one in their backyard. Rather than going to the movies, they set up a movie theater. Having personal amenities at home provides a sense of pride and security, as well as convenience and comfort. People buy things for various different reasons, and personal preference plays a significant role, but indulge me for a second here. Let's say that you had a chance to go to a pool hall instead of having a pool table in your basement. You stop by once or twice a week, and a few people from the neighborhood also frequent the place. There's no pressure to buy a drink, so you can relax, or if you're feeling social, introduce yourself to somebody you keep bumping into. Which one would add more value to your life? I'm not saying that these are direct apples to apples. Obviously, I'm making a lot of assumptions here. But there is an interesting connection between social isolation caused by lack of third places and consumerism. And what we use consumerism to kind of solve almost. We don't connect with each other. So we have this hole, and so we just use consumerism to kind of fill that hole. And we go back to our big homes with nothing in them, rather than connecting with people. And again, I'm not saying this to make anybody feel bad. That's not my intention. I'm sorry, but I'm just painting an idea of why we probably feel so lonely. Our built environment isn't facilitating the connections that we're seeking. We don't have third places to meet and hang out with each other. I wonder how many people would trade their big yards in a 4-bedroom home for 2 people for a community plaza where they can see their neighbors and friends. I'm not advocating that every city on earth should be built this way. I know you're gonna tired of me saying this, but this is about choice. This option of an ideal neighborhood that, I've backed up with a movie's worth of research is illegal, or was illegal until very, very recently. So it's crazy that the idea of the suburban experiment wasn't even focus grouped. It wasn't even hey, yo, let's sit down, let's talk about this. How do we want to live? Nah, there's some guy in Leavittsville figured out how to build homes cheap and fast, and that's just the method that we stuck to. And then cars came along and just messed everything up. And so now we feel so much isolated and further away from each other. Our democracy and the way that we connect each other is just getting worse and worse because we don't really see people face to face. we only see the extreme versions of them online. I know that like this kind of feels like it's far away from urban planning, but this is what this is all about. Like it's I don't just like bikes and like lampposts for no reason. I'm in love with the humanity and people, and like the fact that we've built our dwellings, our communal habitat in a way that is poisonous to us as people in general is a travesty. We're already facing so many challenges in the world right now, and then we go home and live in a place that doesn't rejuvenate us, but instead drains us.
I'm Ali Goulet. I'm the owner of Rising Tides Tap Room here in Calgary. We are very proudly LGBTQIA inclusive. That's a big part of our ethos. But when we say we're inclusive, we really mean to everyone. So also really wanted to see how a space that was not a club, not a bar, just, you know, comfortable space where people could come and actually gather in community would work, and how that would intersect between, you know, the local neighborhood that we're in, with all the families and everyone around there, and also with kind of the wider LGBTQIA plus community in Calgary as a whole.
Being from a marginalized group, having a third place was actually impetus for her starting this business, because she wanted a place that she wished that she had when she was growing up.
It was kind of through my travels. I saw a lot of spaces in other cities where I felt a lot more at home in those spaces than I ever had in spaces in Calgary. Being the first or one of the first types of these spaces in Calgary was appealing to me because, like you alluded to, it's more of a challenge, but there's also, you know, a whole community to be served, and if we don't do it, then who's gonna do it and when are they gonna do it? So yeah, it was kind of like a combination of really loving Alberta genuinely, and, you know, having connections here, but also wanting to be a part of that change.
You know, once again, I'm Black. I also definitely relate to this idea. Third places just mean so much more when pretty much almost the rest of the places, you don't feel like you can be yourself. You feel like you have to explain yourself all the time. That's the beauty of a third place, that you can show up as you are, and with no expectation to be somebody that you're not, or to fulfill or fit in within kind of anything. For me, an example of that third place would be the barbershop. Obviously, I know if you know Black people, the barbershop is a perfect example of a third place. You go there, you kick it, you get your hair cut, you can stay as long as you want. They usually have music, and it is such a reprieve from being in a place that doesn't have very many people that look like me. So having a space in which I can let my hair down proverbially and just like chill and not worry about my presence offending somebody or having to overly explain myself, and also just get to celebrate a side of me that I rarely get to because I'm rarely around people that let me do that, is refreshing and relieving in a way that is so difficult to articulate. Some of the benefits of being in community at a third place is that you get to interact with people that you otherwise wouldn't mix with. And Levi with Candid Coffee actually describes this situation very, very well.
We're all friends now, but we didn't know each other. So it's like me, a heavy-duty mechanic, a car mechanic, two filmmakers, another coffee roaster, and Darren's a metal worker.
Yeah.
So, and they're all own their business, they're very involved, and we do business together sometimes now. And there's like 5 to 6 of us there, a lot of mornings just hanging out.
Yeah.
And it's just like some people come in and they're like, why don't these guys all just like, we all stand together, and we do it most mornings.
I'm a people person. I like meeting people in different places and who have different jobs, and a third place kind of gives you that conviviality, gives you that serendipity that is just awesome. It's always great when you come across a person that is not like a person you ever really met before, or not a person you typically meet. It kind of reminds you that we're all different and unique in our own ways, and it's just awesome to be in a place that celebrates diversity. Having a good third place offers a level of serendipity and diversity to your life that only can be good for you. So how do you get more third places? I wanted to speak to these business owners because they pretty much built the whole business off of the concept of a third place. And I think one of the common themes is that they designed their third places intentionally. Their space, the physical space, was designed meticulously to encourage the feeling of a third place.
I love board games. I love interacting with friends and connecting with friends through like discussion and board games. And so like we don't have any TVs inside, despite some people wishing that we did when the Flames are on a playoff kick or whatever. But yeah, we don't have any TVs. We have like a huge selection of board games. We have a shuffleboard table. We have cornhole. So I've always found that that's a very fast way to bonding with people, and it's a quick way to kind of expedite sometimes to go from a conversation to having a memory with someone, or if you are on someone's team and you win together, it's just this moment of connection.
If you've seen downstairs, and you'll probably see it, we'll film it later, we have a pour over bar there. It's where we do our slow coffee. So the coffee you can order, pour over, any kind of offerings, and you're being made, the barista will make it in front of you, and typically the people stand on the other side of the bar, and it's meant for that like slow connection. Our bar is in an L shape. The opening is by where you take your order, so you can be closer to this person, and then they can wait on the side or on the other side. And what ends up happening is if you're here in the morning from 7 to 9, like I was mentioning, we have a whole bunch of people just hanging around the bar, and it's a stand-up thing only. People are standing, they're having their drinks.
One thing that they both also mentioned too is that this business isn't easy. It's hard to prioritize community over convenience or profit.
This doesn't exist unless, we are, hitting our bottom lines. And so there are real world implications to having it be a space where there are no agendas, and you start to understand once you're in the business why some places operate the way they do, have the policies they do, have the culture that they do, because of needing to make money and those competing priorities. For me, it's really been about listening to what our community says they want.
I mean, in a sense, third place is my business.
Yeah.
Offering a space that people can come into and make their own and enjoy and all that, that is my business. Making money off it, yeah, it's hard. I mean, the business itself is already difficult.
Yeah.
And then using it as, it is a passion of mine, it has been. Me offering this third space is a product. So that's kind of how I just justify it as it is a product. I believe in it, and I think it's okay for me to make money off of that.
Running a business without prioritizing money right at the forefront is a big risk to take. But I think these local business owners should show a great example of what happens when you put community first. So actually go support these guys. If you live in Edmonton or Calgary, please patronize them. These are the exact type of business owners that we want. We need more business owners like them that actually value community and community building, because that's what we need the most right now. We don't need any more big box chain of retailers in our communities that aren't focused on community but just focused on profit. We need more people like these people. We need more people like Ali and Levi. As Levi and Ali outlined, third places don't just happen. They require hard work, intention, and a community of dedicated individuals. This insight extends to every aspect of our urban environment. Our cities aren't static. They're the result of constant effort and collaboration. Wherever you live, whether it be Edmonton, Indianapolis, Philadelphia, or whatever other car-centric city you're from, remember that you have the power to make a difference. Your city needs you to make a difference. All the good things around you happened because somebody chose to make a difference. At times, the world can make you feel like you have to change it all at once, and that can feel overwhelming. There's a lot out of our control, but one thing needs to be clear: our world isn't everywhere. It is our street, our neighborhood, our friends, family, co-workers, acquaintances, and even the strangers that we walk by on the sidewalk every single day. That's our world. So we can support that by supporting local businesses, attending public engagement meetings, filling out surveys that the city sends out. These small actions contribute to the thriving, larger environment of a community. It's easier for us to focus always on what's going wrong, but we need to recognize that progress is being made, and that was the point of this show. I wanted to show everybody that, yes, there's some problems, but The reason why the show was a bit more on the positive side is because I think a lot of these pluses are not being talked about enough. Despair is the antidote to progress. The lack of hope is what's going to stop us from achieving what we need to achieve. If we feel like we've tried so hard and nothing has ever happened, so what's the point of even trying? That is detrimental, not only to us, but to the people that come after us. We need to focus on the good things that have been happening and use that as fuel to be like, hey, things aren't perfect, but that happened. We figured this thing out. I think we can figure it out. We dust ourselves off, get up, and go again. Don't get me wrong at all. These things are not perfect. I very much subscribe to the point of view that there was no point in trying. When I graduated, I was very dispirited. I'd given up on a career in urban planning, as it felt like we had all the answers to make our cities better, but our bureaucracy and people's unwillingness to change would not allow it to happen. Also, the fact that my grades weren't very good. Nobody's getting a master's with like a 2.2 GPA. Anyways, that's besides the point. But through the process of creating this show and engaging the passionate individuals, I was inspired by the can-do spirit of Edmontonians. The tenacity of community builders goes to show that you don't take no for an answer. Throughout this series, we've seen the grassroots efforts that can drive change. The new zoning bylaw, improved transit. These initiatives did not start in government backrooms, but in the streets. Take a moment to appreciate the city around you and how it's improved over time. The new bike lanes that help you commute safer. The improved transit systems that connect more people. These advancements didn't happen overnight, and they didn't happen without the efforts of countless individuals who believed there was a better future. Not from people who sat at home and complained that the city had nothing to do, but actually went out and made things happen. Our cities will far outlive us, but the memories and impacts that we leave within their streets and alleys can endure. One day, there will be no one else to remember us personally, but the built environment will stand as a legacy. So we owe it to future generations to ensure we leave our cities better than we found them. This show was a real community effort. There was so many different faces, and I got city councilors on here, I got industry professionals on here, I got business owners on here, and the show would not be possible without them. Thank you for taking a chance on this. I'm very well aware that to a lot of these people, I'm a complete stranger that believed in this crazy vision I had for this show, and I really hope I did my best to live up to everyone's expectations of what the show was. I'm incredibly grateful. This show has literally been life-changing. Thank you to everyone who's been on the show. Thank you so much. Thank you for Sarah and Susan behind the scenes just handling my utter chaos. Thank you for StoryHive for putting up with me. This show is really late. And they put it up with me, and I appreciate that. Allow me to learn and make mistakes. This is just the beginning. Not just for Edmonton, but for me as well. I totally intend on making more of these documentaries. Bringing the stories from our cities to the forefront. Helping us remember that there's always good things happening. You just need to look for it. I have nothing else to say, man. Just thank you to everybody, honestly.